Hello friends, and welcome to the Tiki Tingles channel. I have a very special episode for you today. I'm going to teach you how to make, prepare, and roll cabbage rolls. This is a family recipe, and every year I have people wanting to know, how do you do your cabbage rolls? I'm going to show you step by step. Enjoy. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is core your cabbages. Just take a paring knife and slowly go around the core. Make sure you cut as deeply as you can. You want to remove as much of the core as possible. Just as you see me doing here, remove the core. Discard the core, you don't need it. Now this is what it's going to look like inside. It's just basically you've cut a hole in your cabbage is what you've done. And you can peel the leaves off from either the bottom or the top of the cabbage. I actually like to peel it off from the top because they seem to come off more easily. Be patient. Leaves can rip. Just take your time. Here's how you peel it from the bottom. You see how easily that came off? Completely intact. There you go. Set it down. Or you can peel it from the top. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're more comfortable with doing. So then once you have your leaf separated, you need to cut off this little rind part. Use your cabbage, use your paring knife on the cabbage, cut away from yourself and cut that off. It's just a big thick piece of cabbage that will make your rolling very difficult, and you don't need it. And each one of the leaves have to be trimmed. So hi guys, today's video is going to be an instructional how-to video, and it's how to make cabbage rolls. So first of all, welcome to my channel. This is Tiki Tingles. I can be found on YouTube. hit me up anytime. You never know what you're going to find. We have already put together a montage for the beginning of this video to show you what to do to make the mix. Now, this is the mix all completed, stirred up, and we're going to start. I have to teach you how to roll the cabbage rolls. Now, first of all, I want to put in a disclaimer. This is my cabbage roll recipe. I'm not saying yours is bad, and I'm not saying mine is the best. Try it, see if you like it. I'm pretty sure you will because it gets raves all the time. Also, yes, I know I'm wearing nail polish. No haters, please. Okay, so what we're going to do is use a spoon and take a good heaping tablespoon of meat and put it onto the cabbage leaf. Just like that. Now this smaller end, the pointy end we'll call it, is going to go around the meat that we've already placed in there. So it's going to look like that. You need to hold the leaf in your hand. Don't try this on the table. Don't try it on the plate. Use your hands, okay? Take the leaf and gently, while holding it in your hand, roll it until the end of the leaf is here under your fingers. Slightly squeeze it, take the top and poke it in using one finger, okay? So it's going to look like that. Turn it around and do exactly the same thing with the other side. That is what a finished cabbage roll looks like. Now there are various sized leaves. This was a medium-sized leaf. So I'll just put it here in front. And I'm going to go for a larger leaf. And the larger leaves are usually green because they are from the outside of the cabbage. Now remember in the instructional video I showed you, this part has a core on it. And it's very important to trim that core so that it's even and not bulky and easy to roll. Okay, so this is, as I said, is going to be a larger leaf. You have two choices at this point with this leaf. Number one, you can roll it as is, or you can cut it in half if you find that this is too large. We'll compare the sizes of the two cabbage rolls when we're finished because I'm going to do this one as a large cabbage roll. All right, so let's get some meat in there, some mixture. About double what you put in the other one because it's a big leaf. Now here's the end. Put it over like that. Gently, while holding it in your hand, roll it. Okay, there it is. It's no end sticking out. Push the top part in. And the bottom part in. And there you have a perfect cabbage roll. Let's just compare size, okay? Here's a medium-sized one and a large size one. Depends on what you want. Okay? So I'll just put them down here. And I'm just going to continue rolling the cabbage leaves. This is a recipe that is closest to the Romanian cabbage rolls. Now, how I learned to make these was my mother-in-law many years ago. I'm not going to tell you how many because that's going to date me real bad, but a long time ago. And she taught me in one day how to make these, and I've been making them for a lot of years. Exactly the same way she taught me. I like to call it a fail-proof recipe, but really there is no such thing as a fail-proof recipe. But this comes awful darn close. If you follow the instructions as I've told you how to do them and how to make them, how to roll them. Watch this once again. Okay, just like that. You're going to have no trouble. No toothpicks, nothing like that. You don't need it. This is a self-contained unit. There it is. It doesn't fall apart when it's cooked. And that's important. So cabbage rolls are a tradition in our family. We have them for Christmas and Easter sometimes, Thanksgiving, always for a wedding. Always make up a huge pot of cabbage rolls for a wedding. And they're fun, you know, people love them. These don't taste like store-bought cabbage rolls. Okay, you don't even know what a cabbage roll tastes like if you've only had store-bought ones. Wait till you try these. Okay, so we're going to get some more meat in here. I like to be generous with the amount of meat that I put in my cabbage rolls. Some people put in far less meat than I do. It doesn't taste right. It's just not as good. This literally is a meat dish. It's got everything you want. It's got meat, it's got rice, it's got vegetables. Yeah, it's a meal unto its own. And wait till you smell them when they're cooking. Oh man. Yeah, they're good. Some of the leaves are a little thinner than others. The thinner ones are always from near the top. And the closer you get to the middle of the cabbage, and this is a very good example right here, it's about the size of my hand. I do have large hands, but the leaf I would say is still quite small. Okay, so you don't want to overload that one with meat. You want to put about a tablespoon squashed down type thing of meat in that. These can be a little more challenging to roll, but they're still done exactly the same way. Punch the top, punch the bottom. There it is. See? It's a lot smaller. It's a lot smaller even than the one I said was smaller than this one. Every once in a while, you're going to come across a problem of a ripped leaf. What do I do? Well, first of all, don't panic, okay, because it can still be done. I'm going to rip this leaf intentionally to show you what I mean. Okay? Just fold it over itself. That's all you have to do. Roll as usual. It'll still turn out. It's pretty much the same as the other ones. Every now and then you'll find you have a hole in your leaf. Who knows why? Just a little rip. You might find two. Okay? Don't worry about it. It's still okay because you're rolling these. The leaf goes over each other. It doesn't matter if it's ripped. It'll still work. like that. Yeah, that's the same leaf that I just ripped twice. Perfect. No sign of it because it's covered up. It's rolled around. Here's one right here that actually has a natural tear in it. I don't know if you can see it. Hi. Cabbage roll humor. My husband is actually laughing at me right now. So as I was saying, this is a tradition for special occasions in our family. And you know what? I would love to hear in the comment section below, what are some of the traditional foods you eat on holidays in your family? Because I am interested. I'm interested in every single one of my subscribers. You're all important to me. If you have other foods that you would like to see me do an instructional tutorial on, comments right there. Guess what else is right there? Subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. Pass it on to anybody who you think will benefit from this tutorial. Because you're all welcome. You know, you're all welcome to watch it. You're welcome to pass it on. This is something I don't see a lot of families making these days. I think it's really Eastern European families, for the main part, who do cabbage rolls. And there are many different kinds, many different styles. There are Polish cabbage rolls, Ukrainian cabbage rolls, German cabbage rolls, Romanian cabbage rolls. Gosh, I don't know, I'm probably missing some, but there's pretty well all of the Eastern European countries do have some form of cabbage roll. Some of them are very large. They have to be put together with toothpicks. Others are more flat looking. These ones are literally rolled. Now here's another example. Let's watch this again, just in case, okay, of a small leaf. Don't throw out your small leaves. I've actually known people to do that because they think they can't be rolled. Well, I'm here to show you that they can be. And there they are right there. That's a small leaf. I don't think I'm going to roll all of my cabbage rolls for you right now as a tutorial, but I do want to make sure that I've rolled enough that you get the knack of it, that you really understand what it is that I'm trying to teach. I've known some people to learn very quickly on how to roll cabbage rolls, and others take, you know, maybe more than one lesson, or I have to get them to roll the whole pot by themselves, and by that by then they usually get the drift pretty darn good. But it's not a daunting task. It really isn't, and it's easy. But anything is once you learn it, right? If you don't know how, then it's not easy. Always roll them gently in your hand. Don't, you know, like don't be the Tasmanian devil trying to do these cabbage rolls, because you're going to end up ripping it. And always look your roll over, make sure there's no tear that meat is coming out of. It happens. So that's why I look at each and every one of them. Okay? Just in case you were wondering. Remember that you always start with the pointy end down or toward yourself. Let's say that. Oh, I wish you could smell this mixture. It just smells so good. I'm also going to be teaching you how to put your cabbage rolls in your roasting pan for roasting, because there's a secret to that too. A lot of people don't realize that cabbage rolls are layered. They're very seldom, if ever, cooked in one layer. It can be done. I'm not saying it can't. But if you're going to make cabbage rolls and take all the time to do it, make a few. Make a whole pot. You can always freeze them. They do freeze fairly well. But I personally like to make them fresh on the day that I'm going to have them. Because if I'm making cabbage rolls, it's going to be for a special occasion. A lot of people are going to be there. And they'll all get eaten anyway, so it doesn't matter. My kids absolutely love cabbage rolls. Oh my God, they wolf them down. Ah, look at this. A leaf with a natural tear. I'm going to bring that in just a little bit. See, there you go. But look where it is. It's at the bottom. You don't even have to worry about it. I can tear it all the more and you don't have to worry about it. Because there's so much leaf that tear is going to be covered anyway. So you have nothing to concern yourself with over that. Put the meat in the same as you always do. Now you see here, look at, see the meat is coming out of here a little bit where that tear was? Don't worry about it. Watch. It's now got 2 layers of cabbage over it. It isn't going anywhere. There you are. I'll give you a real good look at that one so you can see there is no meat leaking out anywhere. It's perfect. There are some people who make cabbage rolls with sour heads of cabbage. You can do that. Yes, I'm not saying don't. I'm saying they can be more challenging for 2 reasons. Number one is they are extremely salty and they can really start hurting your hands after a while. And number 2, go to your grocery store and price out how much sour cabbages are. For one this big around, you're paying about $8-9 for it. You know how much I paid for my cabbage? Like $1. Cabbage is cheap. Don't get trapped into the whole sour cabbage business. As a matter of fact, when I show you how to put them in the roasting pan, you're going to find out exactly why you don't need sour cabbage. You're going to end up with the same effect anyway. Now, as far as the rice goes, you do not have to use an expensive brand of rice. Rice is rice is rice. This is white rice. It's not the minute rice. It's long grain white rice. Use the no-name brand if you want to. It honestly does not matter. But there's a trick to cooking the rice, which I think we've put in the beginning of the tutorial. But just in case, don't cook it all the way through. When you're going to cook your rice, if you're going to eat it for supper or whatever, you cook it as it's written on the instructions of how to do it. Okay, don't do that. You don't want your rice to be fully cooked when you put it in here, but nor do you want it to be raw. The rice has to be cooked, 1 cup of water, 1 cup of rice. That's the ratio for this. So it's not going to be cooked. If you end up, and it's cooked only for 10 minutes, and if you end up cooking your rice, overcooking it, you're going to have problems because you're going to end up with mush. And you don't want that. But you can see at the beginning of the tutorial what the rice will look like before it goes in. Okay. These are really nice heads to work with. There's always a debate on what type of, what size, what shape is the word I'm looking for, head to buy. I don't care. If the head rolls well, then you've got yourself a good head of cabbage. I've seen some really schnooky leaves come off of the cylindrical kind. I've seen them really awful coming off of the round kind. Buy whatever kind your store has, but buy at least one extra head of cabbage, just in case you have a real failure of a head. And I've seen that happen more times than enough, so this is fair warning. Buy an extra one. So I guess basically what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what the shape of the head is. You're going to have people say, oh yes it does. Well, you know what? If you think it matters, fly at her. Go out there and search every superstore in town until you find a cylindrical head of cabbage. But I'm telling you, it does not matter. Look what I'm doing here. It's the same thing. Whatever the shape of your leaf is, it's the same. Same method to get it put in there. And all cabbage tastes the same. And it's very pliable because it's been frozen. That is, I would have to say, the #1 piece of advice that I can give cabbage rollers who are watching this video looking for a new recipe. If you don't do that and you're parboiling your cabbage, don't do that, because it makes it twice as hard, 3 times as hard to roll your cabbage rolls. Freeze your heads solid for at least 3 to 4 days. I leave mine in for 4 days minimum. It works. You just have a look here. I'm going to bring this leaf in. Look how soft that is. Look how it bends. I can fold it. Look at that. And that comes from freezing the head. No, what does not change the taste of the cabbage? I know I'm going to hear that. It doesn't. I've had them both ways. I've made them both ways. It does not change the taste of the cabbage. Cabbage is mostly water to begin with. So whether you freeze it or whether you parboil it, it does not matter. And these are turning out really nice. This is fun. You know what? I've never actually sat and made a tutorial about how to do cabbage rolls, but I've taught a lot of people how to make them. And I'm glad I did, because it gave me the experience to sit here and talk to you today. Oh, that turned out nice. Oh, here's one. Now, look, this is an example of a leaf that is very close to the core. Now, how you can tell that is, first of all, it's by the shape. Look at how long this leaf is, okay? But it's also very spiky at the top. See the little spikes? That tells you that it comes from close to the core. It's not going to be as, well, it is actually pretty pliable, but it seems a little bit thicker. It's still going to work. It's going to be just fine. I've had so many people tell me that they panic when they get down to the lower leaves or the smaller leaves. And I guess I can understand why they panic. It's daunting, I think, because you expect your leaf to be a certain size. It doesn't matter at all whatsoever. Here's a nice one. This comes from about midway through the cabbage because it's green but just starting to turn white. You see how the cabbage leaf never leaves my hand. It's always in my hand. I'm not doing this on a plate. And they're rolled in such a way that when they're cooked, they're actually not going to come apart at all. And there's also a trick to how you put them in your pot as well, for the actual cooking process, and how you snug each one to the other. It's much easier. Now here's a very small leaf that's actually a partial leaf. Now take a look at this one. Looks a little bit different. It doesn't have as many layers of cabbage going around it. It's only got 2. So you can slightly see the meat through it. Don't worry about that. The meat is not going to come out of this cabbage roll until you put it on your plate and use a knife. Okay? It's fine. It looks weird, but it's fine. So as I've gotten quite a few cabbage rolls here, and I've used about half of my mixture thus far. So I have quite a few more left to roll. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to roll my cabbage rolls, the rest of them, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to put them in your roaster, what you will need, and that'll finish up the video. So I'll see you in just a couple of minutes, guys. Okay, guys, it's time to learn how to put your rolls into your roasting pan for the cooking process. Now, I'm going to tip the pan just a little bit for you. As you can see, I've lined the bottom of the roasting pan, the entire base, with cabbage leaves. This is just going to be so that your cabbage rolls don't stick to the bottom of your roaster. Now on top of those leaves go freshly sliced tomatoes. And you're just going to put them down on the bottom. They don't have to be touching. There's not a certain amount of tomatoes that you need. You use what you have, okay? So at this point, this is what your roasting pan should look like. Cabbage on the bottom, fresh cut tomatoes on top of the cabbage. Now we are going to begin to layer our cabbage rolls into the pot. So just take them and put them along the edge. Usually 3 will fit across. However, sometimes you get a larger cabbage roll and there's going to be a little bit of a space at the top. That's okay. That doesn't matter. Just layer them in one after the other. Make sure that they're nice and close. You see, one row is nice and close to the next, and Each of these are close to each other. Just going to hold the pan up a little bit while I demonstrate putting a few of them in here. I think you can see that quite clearly on there. Oh yeah, it's coming through nice. Okay, I've got a little guy here. I'm going to stick that one here where I had that gap because this one is such a large roll. That's what, they're all different sizes. You never know what you're going to get, like Forrest Gump's chocolates. Okay, so we're just going to continue to put these all along the bottom of the pan. I'll just do that really fast here so we can get on with the rest of the tutorial. And here's another smaller one for this. So this is what your cabbage roll roaster is going to look like right now. 3, and then however many across that you can fit in. It's usually about 10. What have I got? 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, I have 9. Okay, so 9 across and 3 down. Now, these next steps are very important, and they're going to be repeated again because, as I said, we layer them. This is sauerkraut. It's a very important ingredient in cabbage rolls because it helps to give the regular cabbage a sour cabbage taste. It's not overpowering. It's not going to, quote, taste like sauerkraut when it's finished. It's here to get to strictly for the cooking process, and it does its job very well. Okay, so you just a little bit here, a little bit here. That's what it looks like with the sauerkraut spread on top of the rolls. Okay, next in line we have bacon. Now some of the bacon has already been used in the actual mixture. Okay, so here's a piece of bacon. You're just going to lay it on top of this layer. Like so. So you're going to use half a package for cutting it up and putting it in the mixture. The other half of the package is used in the cooking process. So this is what you are going to have your roaster look like now. Now, if you want to add more bacon, go ahead. If you don't want to put bacon in, it's an option, but I don't recommend it. Okay, so then we're going to put on some more fresh tomatoes. We're just going to layer those across. Just like that. Okay. That's what it looks like now. Sauerkraut, bacon, fresh tomato. Spicing. Peppercorns. About that many. I don't know how many peppercorns that would be. Actually, a few more than that. Spread them. Just go like that. Just it's raining peppercorns. And put them on that layer. Then you have bay leaf. And these are huge honkin' bay leaves. These are fresh bay leaves. They are not the dried ones. Well, these are dried, but they're not like crunchy. They're really nice. Again, as with the peppercorns, you're going to be generous with your bay leaf because the bay leaf is actually going to help give these cabbage rolls most of their flair. You can't make cabbage rolls without bay leaves. I think most cultures that make cabbage rolls will tell you that. If you have the kind of bay leaf that comes in a jar and they're small, kind of go like this and poke them in like that. So they're getting right down in there with the cabbage roll. These are really nice big bay leaves. We don't have to worry about that at all. Okay, let's go over this one more time. You've got your rolls, sauerkraut, tomatoes, bacon, bay leaf, and peppercorn. Now we start again. No, we don't. We need tomatoes, canned tomatoes. Sorry about that. And these are just going to get poured right on top like this. Juice and all. Okay, so you want an empty jar when you're finished with them. So these are whole tomatoes, so I'm going to split them and I'm going to just gently lay them down on top of this. These are really nice and juicy tomatoes too. They're regular tinned tomatoes. There's nothing special about them. There's 101 different varieties. Whatever kind you like or whatever kind is on sale, that's the kind you're going to use in your mixture. Let me caution you about two things. Number one is the tomatoes. Yes, I just finished telling you that you can buy any kind. No, you can't. You don't want something that's already flavored, something with some other spice in it or something. You want regular, whole tomatoes. Also want to caution you with your bacon. Please don't buy maple bacon or any other kind of bacon that has a flavor to it, smoky, anything like that. You want regular, original bacon. Because if you buy something like maple bacon, these are not going to be good. Okay, don't do that. Seriously, do not do that. I'm going to remind you again one more time before we're finished here. I've known too many people who have totally ruined pots of cabbage rolls by doing that. And I mean ruined. Because you don't want your cabbage rolls tasting like a waffle. Okay, so now we're going to put in another row of cabbage rolls right on top of this mixture that we've already put in there. Now look how close to the top we're getting here. Okay, we've got about yay much room till the top. That's okay. That's what you want. Want them in there nice and snugly. Oh, these are going to be good. I can already smell them cooking. Another little short guy. I'm going to stick that in there. Now, it looks like I'm going to have the right amount of cabbage rolls in this box. Perfect. Wow, okay. I'm like a little bit shocked right now because this never works like that. Don't ever expect it to. This is just a real fluke. But I got exactly the amount of cabbage rolls for this pot. So let's start our layering process once again. We're going to take whatever is left over of the sauerkraut, and there's probably going to be quite a bit of sauerkraut left over when you get to your second layer. And that's good because this is going to soak down right down through and do its job, which is make your regular cabbage turn into a slightly sour cabbage and give you the desired taste for a traditional cabbage roll. Okay, so now we've got that on there. I don't add another layer of fresh tomatoes. 2 is good enough, but I do put on another tin of tomatoes. I forgot to count how many are in here, but I think we can figure that out pretty quick with doing the math. This amount of cabbage rolls is going to feed quite a fair few people, actually. 20 people can easily eat from this pot of cabbage rolls. If they only take one, you're feeding a lot more, but they won't. They'll take more than one, for sure. Okay, just getting these organized on here. I think there should be around 54 cabbage rolls in here. And that's a lot because, you know, you are making these for a special occasion, so you don't want to run out, right? So here's this layer now with the, it's getting heavy, with the sauerkraut and the other tin of tomatoes. So now on top of that, I'm going to pour some more peppercorns, that many. And of course, you don't eat peppercorns. Please remember that. These are really sharp and not good for you if you eat them. When you serve them, all of this stuff that I'm putting on here is going to be your base that they're going to be nestled on, so you don't eat those. But occasionally you'll get them just beside your cabbage roll or something. Just discard it, okay? And the same thing goes for the bay leaf. You do not eat bay leaf. It's only for flavoring. And again, be generous. Bay leaf is not expensive. You can get it in, you're best to get it in the ethnic store or section of your grocery store. This was 59 cents, and look at how big that bag is. Okay, so it's not an expensive product whatsoever. They do keep very well. You can literally keep bay leaves for years because they're already dried out by the time they come to you. But these ones are really nice. Look how soft they are. You just don't find that with the ones that you get in the little jars. Okay. So now we have, oh, I'm just losing stuff here. The rest of the bacon that you're just going to pile on top of the finished product here. Okay, just like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your cans that you had your tomatoes in. I'm going to ask my husband to please go to the sink and fill that can up to the top with cold water. And we're going to pour that entire can of water over this mixture so that it has enough fluid to cook through properly. And it's a very important step to remember because although there was fluid in the 2 cans of tomato paste, regular tomatoes, and also the sauerkraut, it is still not enough fluid for cabbage rolls to cook correctly. So just pour it in right on the top, just like that. And that will eventually go right down to the bottom. I've gotten to the point where I actually can't tip this to show it to you, or I'm going to have water all over my dining room table, and I don't want to have that. So this is what your finished product is going to look like before baking. You must cover cabbage rolls in order for them to bake properly. Whether you use tin foil or whether you use an actual top for a roaster, they must be covered. This is a very large roasting pan, and there's a lot of cabbage rolls in it. This is going to take between 6 and 6.5 hours to cook. You're going to put it in at 325. You can always jack the heat to 350 after about 4 hours if you want them to be done a little bit quicker. I'm going to show you when they are finished, exactly what they should look like. And yeah, so that's it. So these are getting ready to go into the oven, and I will talk to you in several hours' time to show you the finished product. See you then. Okay, so this is the finished product. And the bay leaves on top, because of the moisture in the rolls, are still pliable. Look at that. I'm going to bring one of these out to show you. Let's see here. I'm going to go from the end just because it's easier to do. Okay, that's what the finished one is. And I'm going to put it on the plate. And I'll move this off to one side just a little bit. Alright, so here we go. This is the finished product. I'm going to bring that in so you can get a good look at it. There it is. Now you see what I mean by they stayed completely together. They're not falling apart. They're one contained unit. I'm going to put that down here and cut it so you can see what it's like on the inside. And they're very tender. Look how easily that cut. Okay. Now I'll just give you a little bit better look at it now that it's cut. Oh, they turned out. You should smell them. Oh man, wait till you make them. You're going to love these. Okay, I'm going to have a quick taste. Just to make sure, of course, you know, that they taste really good. Let's see. They taste exactly as they should taste. I'm going to tell you one more thing. You'll notice that in my cabbage roll recipe, I don't use a tomato paste. This is the Romanian style cabbage roll. You don't use tomato paste in them. You serve them like this on the plate by themselves. If you want to, you can serve some of the sauerkraut and tomato beside it. It's entirely up to you, but remember that in there is going to be peppercorns. Don't eat them. If you have any of these left over after serving a large group, the best way to freeze them is to use all of the fillers and cooking supplies to pack them in, because they'll freeze much, much better and they'll be tastier if you do it that way. So anyway, thank you very much for watching my cabbage roll tutorial. I wish you the very best of luck when you make them. If you have any questions, comment box right there. If you have enjoyed this video, please share it and subscribe for more videos. Have a wonderful day, enjoy your cabbage rolls, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye from Tiki Tingles.